Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. And it's June. We've made it into the month of June, and as usual, I'm Illeagle86, and I'm joined by the ever so debonair Techtic one.
How are you? That's 2 weeks in a row where I'm the first one to start. It's starting to become predictable.
Well, so I figured you would assume I would switch it back, so I kept it. It was like reverse psychology.
Ah, I see.
So good to see I got you. And also the Nerdbomber.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Well, in my case, it's going very well. Hopefully, our listeners are doing well. I almost said viewers, but we're not videoing yet. But we're back. We got more to talk about. Got a nice round table this week. But first things first, we have some very exciting news from the production office,
Whoop, whoop.
which I guess is just the regular office. There's really one office at this business so far. We have a new Patreon subscriber, and better yet, we have a night level subscriber. That's the highest level, guys.
A Knight.
So hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly. If I'm not, shout us out on Twitter and tell me that I'm a fool. Ben Checkness is our first Patreon subscriber and our first night. So congratulations to you, Ben.
Nice little round of applause.
Yeah. Can I clap? Is that allowed?
Yeah, I think we can clap.
Okay. A nice, quiet little golf clap, but that's just because we don't want to ruin the audio quality. We are quite thrilled. Your name, I imagine, will, like 100 years from now, people are going to be like, remember Ben, the first Patreon subscriber? He was the first one. Like, it's a huge honor. So
I just want to let you know, Ben, not only do you get claps, but I give you snaps. The cool kids snap their fingers.
Is he a poet?
I don't know.
I've only ever seen snaps done for poetry.
Yeah, but it's like the hip.
Don't they
guys.
Snap in golf too? They
No,
do
that's
like
golf claps.
Oh, that's right.
Like
that's where they get
the
their
two
name.
finger clap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ben, if you're a poet, drop us a poem. If you're not, it's okay. No pressure. But we're super thrilled. If you want to be like Ben, we really encourage it. You'll hear your name on the podcast. You'll hear another shout out later that we're gonna give Ben. So it's very exciting. You only hear that second shout out if you get the night level, which makes you a Patreon producer. So Ben's a producer, which means if this was a show, his name would be in the credits. And by show, I mean television show. It is a show. It's an audio show. But it's very exciting. So shout out to Ben. This one's for you, man. Let's get into some news. Let's break it down, and let's start with. This is kind of a couple of these are kind of like ahead of E3. So E3 is next week, and we're gonna have our E3 episode next week. But
That is probably my favorite
E3,
episode of the year, I just have to say.
E3 is awesome.
We're all super psyched. I was actually reading there's however many like E3 hype train, like here's all the stuff you can expect or here's what you're hoping for, and I was reading some of that today, and I'm just very excited. I heard a little bit of Metroid 4 buzz, which is like my thing, but anyways, we'll forgo the E3 specific stuff for now, but in kind of in preparation for E3, a new trailer was released about 6 days ago as of this recording for Death Stranding, which, if you haven't heard of Death Stranding, I'm pretty sure it's been in production for quite a long time at this point.
Yeah, it has confused me for quite a long time.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. So we're going to kind of go through this trailer a little bit. It's a 9-minute trailer. It's called the release date trailer, so assumedly the whole point of it was just to reveal the release date as November 8th of this year. But it took almost 9 minutes to do that. And in the 9 minutes, you see a lot of stuff. But first of all, if you don't know about Death Stranding, what I think makes it so high profile is the fact that it's created by the creator of the Metal Gear series. And I don't know, should I try to say his name? I'm probably going to butcher it.
You can go for it. I think the first name might be easy. The last name I always have issues with.
I'm going to say, well, we can all try it. I'm going to say Hideo Kojima.
That actually sounds about right. That's how I would have said it.
It was pretty good.
There are people out there who are listening right now and who are like, you idiots. You don't know. How do you not know? We don't know. But he's a pretty big deal. I mean, I never played the Metal Gear series. I don't know if you guys have.
I have not. I actually own them because I think I got them for free through like Games with Gold or something, but I've never actually played them myself.
The extent of my Metal Gear is in Smash Brothers. where I hide in the
Right.
box as Snake.
So I've never played it either. It's supposed to be obviously this very big deal. I don't even know how many games are in this series at this point. I think the last one was a couple of years back, but like it's a pretty well known and well recognized franchise, and this is either the creator's first game outside of that, or one of his first recent game since Metal Gear, and it appears to be a pretty massive undertaking. So I don't even know how to summarize what the plot of this game is purported to be. What I can say is that it has some famous people in it. So
it is Daryl from The Walking Dead. That's the biggest
Yeah.
one for me. Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus, yeah. He appears to be playing the protagonist. He's probably the playable character upon which the game focuses. But you also have Mads Mikkelsen, who appears to be the antagonist. I don't know. You watch the trailer, and it's unclear who's a good guy and who's a bad guy most of the time, because there's just a lot going on.
I think the shadow figures you can say is a bad guy, but you're right. The person who's leading him, it appears to be him. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'll read you the Wikipedia plot description for Death Stranding, or I guess what under synopsis is what it says. People have created quote-unquote walls and become accustomed to living in isolation. Death Stranding is a completely new type of action game where the goal of the player is to reconnect isolated cities in a fragmented society. It is created so that all elements, including the story and gameplay, are bound together by the theme of the strand or connection. As Sam Bridges, who I believe is Norman Reedus, you will attempt to bridge the divides in society, and in doing so, create new bonds or strands with other players around the globe. Through your experience playing the game, I hope you'll come to understand the true importance of forging connections with others. Honestly, that is not a great synopsis based on what the trailer shows. The trailer seems to focus a lot on this connection between, like, you can kind of commune with the dead, I guess. It's called Death Stranding.
Through, like, babies.
Yeah, you're, like, wearing a baby. There's a lot to process here, and I'm going to do that verbally, but essentially you're wearing a baby like a backpack. The baby is in some liquid.
Well, it's a front pack.
There it is.
It's like a high-tech baby Bjorn.
Yeah, and the baby is immersed in some kind of liquid, which is probably scientifically important, and the baby can commute with, I guess, the spirit world, or like the world beyond death, essentially. And that seems to be a big part of the gameplay, that you can interact with the dead and maybe eventually go over to, like, hell, I guess. I don't know. It's definitely a dystopian game. There's kind of a post-apocalyptic feel in that it seems like America is, like, gone. You're just kind of, like, roaming around in the wilderness with this ginormous backpack.
I think at one point they even say, like, I think it was like the precursor to whatever happened. They say, like, oh, if we don't start forging bonds, we're going to lose what it means to be America, or something weird like that.
Right. And it looks like most of the game is you're walking around in the wilderness with the most enormous backpack in the world. Like, I feel so bad for Norman Reedus, seeing him walk around with this backpack. This backpack has a bunch of gadgets in it that you can use to kind of get around the world. According to the synopsis, I guess, reconnect cities. And it looks like there are shooting elements, there are sneaking elements, visually stunning, beautiful, like hard to even process how real they made Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen look. Amongst there are a few other actors. They got Guillermo del Toro to be in it. There's a lot of famous people attached to this game, and this game has been in development for a while. It was first announced at E3 2016, and since then it's been extremely hyped up, and it's taken a long time, so people are very excited about it. What was your guys like? What's your take here from watching this trailer?
So one of the first things that I noticed is that watching the actual gameplay and kind of removing the gameplay from the story, it felt a lot like the main character was just kind of walking around. There wasn't a whole lot to look at. And I know that it was like a post-apocalyptic setting, but the fact that it was just wasteland, like the setting was not very inspiring. And even like the activity, like you were carrying around a ladder at one point. And even the combat, it looked like you were just running from your enemies, like you weren't really fighting your enemies. So it seemed a little bit slow paced, and I'm not sure how that's going to play out in the actual game because I know there's still months to go before this thing releases. But the gameplay itself wasn't riveting enough for me to necessarily want to try to tackle this confusing storyline.
Like you feel like you can get easily lost in the open world.
Yes, exactly.
So one thing to note is that, and something I read earlier on, is that apparently all the environments that you see, including the natural environments, are completely destructible. Meaning that if you blow something up and you die, and you come back, that thing is still blown up, which I think is pretty interesting.
That is pretty neat. I know,
like
Crackdown 3,
yeah.
I don't know if they actually implemented it, but I know they were talking about having something similar to that. I never played the game, so I don't know. But I remember thinking, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so more on that. And again, this is all in the Wikipedia, but under the gameplay tab, when the main character dies, the player is sent to another world referred to as an upside-down world submerged in water. That's kind of stolen from Stranger Things, but let's move on. Kojima suggests that when the player returns to the world of the living, anything they did or any damage that an explosion or the like causes when the player dies remains persistent in the world and does not go away. Another element talked about is the existence of a type of rain called timefall, with the ability to age or deteriorate whatever it hits. So this is something that was shown in the trailer, but not really super well explained. They also talk about BTs. Did you guys watch the trailer, right?
I did,
They
yeah.
They talk about BTs a lot, and I don't know what that stands for.
I want to say that's something to do with time travel, because I remember playing, Quantum Break. I think they talked about BTs or something like that.
In a world where you don't have lettuce, all of your sandwiches will be referred to as just BTs. That's the game.
Right. It's just bacon and tomato sandwiches.
That's
You're
it.
all fighting over the bacon.
Yeah.
The title apparently refers to the phenomena when whales strand themselves on beaches and die. I don't know. This game, there's a lot to process.
It feels like it's going to
amazingly
be
cool.
very highbrow and philosophical, especially just from the fact that the readout of the game is, we hope this will make you form human connections. And I'm not 100% sure that I like games that do that. Be a little bit more tactful and let me figure out the theme for myself. Don't shove it down my throat. So I'm not sure if this will be a little bit too on the nose. Again, I think I might just be so confused by what's going on in the game that I'm a little off put. But I hope it's good because it looks kind of cool.
I hope it's along the same vein of kind of where BioShock, where the little girls give you powers. Well, now it's just going to be the little babies giving you powers. I hope it's more than just communicating with the quote-unquote afterlife.
So I agree with what you said, Nerdbomber, in that when you're watching the quote-unquote action in the trailer, there's not really much action. It's just folks talking or folks walking around, this guy unfurling a ladder and climbing up a ladder. It's it's hard to call it an action game. I feel like it's hard to call it a stealth game. I don't know what to call it at this point, and I feel like to watch a 9-minute trailer for a game and not really know how it's going to be is an interesting achievement. I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm sure it will come up at E3. So we will probably talk about it again next week. Although I'm pretty sure Sony's not going to be at E3 this year.
Yeah,
So-
I don't think. I think they're doing more of the state of play live streams where they're revealing more information. So I don't think they're going to have anything at E3. But I don't know. I hope there's some information that comes out before at least the game releases, because I'm going to need a little bit more to go on before I'm comfortable buying this game.
Did you guys happen to peruse through the comments of the trailer?
I did not, but I can imagine that they're great.
Pretty much, what did I just watch was the main one, and totally relatable. I mean, we need more information is really what we're begging for.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
I love Sony games. The first party games that they've brought to us this generation have all been really great. Knock them out of the park. But they can't all be winners. And I'm really afraid that this might be one of them where, because we just give Sony the benefit of the doubt at this point that all of their first party story driven games will be really good. I'm going to play it because I want to see if it is that good, but it may not be.
like, yeah, at this point, I think it's fair to say that I'm intrigued, but you got to get me a little further than that. You got to like show me some gameplay that like actually involves gameplay.
And the baby was just really, really creepy.
There were multiple creepy baby shots. The first shot of the trailer, I think you're like in a woman's like belly.
Yeah, I think you're
like,
getting like birthed or something.
Yeah, and it's like it's like there's just the baby, and it's a very lifelike baby, good graphics, but like I don't need to see that. And then there's like creepy like dolls with one eye floating between open and closed, and like there's just a lot of gratuitous creepy baby shots.
I think the babies kind of hit on like some weird uncanny valley because they look really lifelike because of the graphics being so well done. But at the same time, they're also like, they kind of look like old people. And
well, it's just standard babies. They look like mini old people.
I guess. I don't know. It's just creepy.
I also liked the scenes, and by liked, I mean I thought they were weird. The scenes where it's like you're in the point of view of a baby, and it's like you're underwater, and Mads Mikkelsen's just like having a chat with you. It's like, dude, the baby can't understand what you're saying. It's a baby. And it's also underwater. Probably can't even hear you.
So I have this feeling they're going to be like superpowered, telekinetic, psychic babies that have like insane knowledge of the world just being born or something. I don't know.
Like Minority Report.
Yeah, something like that.
Movie, where they can like see the future and like predict murders. That was an interesting movie. Yeah, Death Stranding, November 8th. There's a trailer up right now that if you have 9 minutes to spare and want to be very confused, then you should go check it out. Next on the list is something that probably should have happened years ago. Is it fair to say that? iTunes is dead. I think iTunes... Okay, let me put it this way. How many times have you gone to do something in iTunes that you thought was going to be simple, and then you go to do it, and iTunes is like, no. Because for me, it's happened more times than I can count on my hands in its 18 years of service.
I mean, so I haven't used iTunes in probably years. Since I got my iPhone, I pretty much stopped using iTunes completely, which is probably the antithesis of what most people do. I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but the opposite of what most people do. Because then I just downloaded Spotify and I could stream my music and I had no need for it. But I do remember back when I had like the iPod Classic, basically iTunes taught me how to be a bit of a hacker because even MP3s that were legally purchased, I felt like you had to do some like crazy workarounds to get it to go onto your iPod.
Yeah, there was so like when I think of iTunes, I think of like horrible digital rights management, and like if you tried to put any music from iTunes on anything that wasn't one iPod, even if you tried to put it on more than one iPod, iTunes was like, you can't do that. You got to pay $20 more. Like it was weird stuff would happen whenever you tried to do anything with the music, and like what you just said about like I've had an iPhone for a while, I haven't used iTunes. It's the same for me too. Like I have an iPhone, but I haven't used iTunes in literally years because I just use Spotify, or like I do have music on my phone, but it's not really iTunes related. So I can't remember the last time I bought anything off iTunes. I can't even imagine why iTunes is still around other than as a holder for like podcasts, I guess.
I mean, but that's the thing though. Apple Podcasts broke off as a separate app a long time ago. Like I think you can still search for podcasts via iTunes, but for the most part, like you're routed through the Apple Podcasts app, and that started a little bit ago. The thing that I find really interesting is that they literally just announced the iPod Touch refresh. So I feel like iTunes is so iconic when it comes to iPods in general. It just seems like really weird timing to me.
Regardless of the timing, I say good riddance. When I was in high school and I had all my sweet angsty music on there, I got an update and it literally purged all of my angst. And I was like, this is it. I'm done with iTunes.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, though. Like, I remember the other thing it was terrible at doing is it would, like, I remember it would always upload, like, duplicates of albums, and, like, it would upload albums and not be able to find any of the album art or any of the tracks, and I had to just, like, go in and, like, manually enter information like I was some caveman or something. I'm like dredging up a lot of bad feelings about iTunes that I had put into a dark place and hope to never touch again. I do not like iTunes. Apple is making a lot of interesting moves right now. This is not on our show notes, but did you guys hear about this Mac Pro they're coming out with?
I heard it was like insanely expensive and insanely powerful.
It's $6,000, but that is not the crazy part. The crazy part is, I guess it's like a monitor. You buy a monitor, but the monitor doesn't have a stand. You have to buy the stand separately. Guess how much the stand costs?
$2,000.
$1,000.
That's
for like a stand.
Crazy.
It doesn't even make sense.
And people are going to do it.
People are probably already pre-ordered it. Like, I'm sure they'll sell a billion of them, but like it's very strange. Anyways, back to iTunes. So it's been 18 years. They're getting rid of iTunes. They're essentially breaking it up into 3 separate apps. You mentioned the podcast app, which I use that. That's a great app. There's going to be a TV app and a music app as well.
Do you think anyone will actually use the TV app?
I have never once rented a movie or bought a movie or bought a TV show or rented a TV show off of iTunes. Can you even rent stuff off of iTunes? I assume you can.
I think you can, but I've never done it. And like, even I know I've looked at it because sometimes when you want to watch a movie and you want to like rent it, and because now we're in the age where most things are on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that. And so I like instant gratification. So going to like Redbox is not an option for me. So I'll like compare all the different streaming services where you can rent the stream. And for the most part, it's not even competitive. Like we usually end up renting it through our cable provider or even like YouTube or Amazon. You can rent it for much cheaper than iTunes. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Can I pose a question?
Please.
If you have one app that does 3 things or 3 apps that do one thing, does the 3 apps potentially earn you more revenue?
I wonder, there has to be something where you probably get more ad revenue.
That's
or
what I
something
was
like
thinking.
that. Or maybe you can do more targeted ads. Like if you know people are using your app specifically for TV, you're going to be able to advertise only other TV services or shows or something like that. And like maybe the same thing with podcasts. I know I was just reading this article how podcasts are like one of the biggest growing industries lately. I think it was like the last couple years it's blossomed. So I wonder if that's another angle too, where they really want to like put a shine on podcasts, because I know Spotify's doing it now. Spotify actually dropped a ton of money. I think they bought Anchor, which is a podcast hosting service. They've got like podcast editing software. So I wonder if Apple is going to try to be more competitive, since they invented the podcast.
Worth noting, and a couple of things with that. Our all, as the Online Warriors team, we are very excited to be a part of that period of growth. And I believe that our podcast is on iTunes and Spotify, correct?
Yeah, we're on pretty much every major platform. I think we're also on the Google Play Store. We're on Stitcher. We're any podcast app that you can think of. I'm pretty sure we're listed.
And second of all, it's called a podcast because of the iPod, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what coined the term.
That's so interesting that term is going to completely outstay the idea of an iPod, I feel like. Because, like, iPods are on their way out.
I mean, it's kind of no different. There's a lot of terms like that, though. I'm trying to think of one, and now that I've said it, I can't think of any offhand.
A Davenport.
Well,
What's that?
A couch.
That's what my 93-year-old grandmother calls a couch. I'm not really sure what that comes from, but...
She only calls that because she's 94.
Yeah.
That's not real. She made that up and she's messing with you.
Or like, how about a dial tone? You don't hear a dial
phone.
You dial a phone, but you don't hear a dial tone because you don't have the phone off the hook. Like, you just open up the phone pad on your cell phone, type in some numbers. You don't, unless you have a landline, you don't really hear a dial tone.
I feel like landline is another example.
That's true.
Years from now, I'm going to be 93. I'm going to be like, we used to have landlines, and my grandkids are going to be like, Grandpa, shut up, you idiot. That's not real. That's not a real thing. My grandkids are going to call me idiots.
No, I'm sure they'll be respectful.
We'll see. Check back with me in 80 years. I'm 13. Good riddance, iTunes. Not super sorry to see you go. Techtic, you raise interesting questions about it. Is this kind of a backhanded move from Apple to like somehow make more money? Knowing corporate America, it probably is.
I mean,
But
the other somewhat shady thing, and I don't know if it's shady or what, but I did read that Apple's new podcast app will actually have searchable audio. So it'll be like transcribing the podcast in the background, and you can actually type in words and search for it within the audio file. That's a little crazy to me.
So when someone goes on iTunes, well, sorry, not iTunes, goes on the podcast app and searches Davenport, we're going to pop up. I like that about us.
We will be known hereforth as the Davenport Podcast.
The Davenport Warriors. I like to think that some like 93-year-old is going to go and like, I want to listen to a podcast about Davenports. And they're going to look us up and just hear 3 stupid millennials talking about like moving pictures. And by moving pictures, I mean video games and films. But they'll call them moving pictures because that's what old people call movies. Shout out to all old folks. We love and respect you. Maybe they're changing it to 3 apps just because then each app can be better targeted to like one of those things. You know what I mean? Like iTunes was trying to be a jack of all trades, and maybe that's why it sucked. Maybe now that they're specializing, each of those apps will be like better at that one thing.
Maybe. I don't know. I just feel like each of those apps aren't very competitive in their space, and at this point, they'd really have to do a lot to overcome the Netflixes and the Spotifys and, man, even other podcasts, like, not to transition us into our ad segment, but there's another podcast app that is really geared towards listening to podcasts called Podcoin, and they even pay you to listen to podcasts.
Can't forget about Podcoin.
I know, right? I mean, and they give you gift cards, and they give you money that you can give to charity, and you really just earn money just by listening to podcasts. And I don't know how Apple Podcasts can compete with something like that.
Is there a referral code that would give them extra points?
Actually, there is. If you sign up and you are not already on Podcoin, and you use the code Online Warriors, you will get 300 Podcoin just to start.
Is that all one word?
It is all one word.
I have a question, and it's not a leading question like the ones that Techtic is asking. If you download the Podcoin app on an iPad, is it called Padcoin or still Podcoin?
It's still called Podcoin, but I think that would be a really interesting adaptation on iPads.
So maybe this is not what we should be doing in an ad segment, but maybe we should start our own Podcoin-ish app called Padcoin. And then they'll come to us like claiming copyright issues, and we'll be like, no, it's called Padcoin. It's totally different. Yeah, Podcoin, check it out. Let's also break into our Patreon producer shout out. As we've already mentioned, our good friend Ben Checkness is our first ever Patreon producer, and for that, I think we should call him like the Patreon executive producer. You know, is that a thing? Can we do that? Is that allowed?
He can be the premier producer.
The premier knight.
I like the alliteration with the P's, so maybe he's the Patreon premier producer because he's the first. So
we're rolling out the red carpet for our best friend Ben. I will say he is now my best friend. Previously, I don't even know who it was, but now it's Ben. He has supported us on Patreon at the night level, and for that reason, he's great, and you could be too. All you got to do is head over to Patreon, to our Patreon, I should say, and give us some support. We use the Patreon for things like hosting our website and future upgrades to make us sound super clear and stuff like that. And
we have a tons of great stuff. Like we had a bonus segment last month where we talked about fashion and basically made butts out of ourselves because we don't know anything about fashion. And if you've missed
hold on. I know plenty about fashion. Okay. And if you want proof, just go and listen to that segment.
And Techtic actually just released a private Patreon vlog episode for our squires and knights. And he basically showed off our new setup, the fancy new desk that we were talking about. So you can see it now if you want. Just got to subscribe on Patreon.
So thanks again to Ben, and thanks to all the future Patreon supporters. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without your love and support.
And if there's any suggestions of as far as videos you guys like to see, please feel free to share.
But let's keep it PG, people. All right. Let's get back into the news. What do you say?
I'm good with that.
Another E3-ish kind of deal. Square Enix has been hyping up their Avengers game. And by Avengers, yes, we do mean the Marvel Avengers. So essentially some details have leaked about kind of Square Enix is going to be talking about this next week in a panel. And the leak has since been fixed, so you can't go see it now, but it seems to have revealed that there will be a number of things, single player and multiplayer co-op options, up to 4-player co-op, I read, which is pretty amazing.
That is really
customizable
exciting.
Characters. It's super exciting. Everything I've heard about this, before I go into the rest of it, it just sounds incredible. They're really hyping me up. I'm worried about being let down, but
it sounds similar to kind of the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, if you ask me, which I think is right up the alley for doing a Avengers video game, because that's the style that you'd want to do. It would be a 4-person kind of bird's eye view gameplay. And me personally, I'm very excited for that, because the only superhero games I've been getting in lately are the Lego Marvel games. And yes, that is a guilty pleasure of mine, folks. I highly recommend them, even as an adult. But I want something a little more, I guess, not playable for a kid. So I'm very excited to see this Avengers game, and I'm very excited if they do the Marvel Ultimate Alliance style of gameplay.
Well, I don't know if it'll be Ultimate Alliance style, but I do have really good news for you. As a Switch owner, the new Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 game will be coming out this year.
Shut the front door.
Not joking. So you'll get your favorite Ultimate Alliance style game, and you'll get some other Marvel game. I know the article that I was reading, I think it was on Den of Geek, they were speculating that it might be some kind of like persistent worlds type deal, like Destiny or something like that, because in the leak they used a lot of words like continuous and ever expanding world. And especially if you have multiplayer options, I feel like everything is moving towards that ever present online multiplayer game. So that'll be interesting to see what that world kind of looks like.
Yeah, I saw that sort of speculation on GameSpot as well, so it seems like a lot of people are thinking it's going to be kind of this Destiny model, which to me that's great. Like, I was pretty hooked into Destiny for a while. I think Destiny has its issues, which we could get into that, but like I think it's a pretty decent model, and I think it's good at hooking people in. I'm curious to see how a multiplayer would work with like, I can't imagine a bunch of Iron Mans and a bunch of Hulks running around. There's been a lot of speculation about whether you're going to be playing as Avengers themselves or whether you're going to be playing as a new hero who helps the Avengers. This idea of customizable characters is kind of leads you to believe it might be the latter. And also the teaser trailer, which came out way back in 2017, suggests that the Avengers have like retired or something, or that they're being asked to like dust off the shield and get back in the game, kind of thing. Either way, it promises for cinematic storytelling, which, you know, for me that's like one of the most important things in gaming, and it also hopefully will align pretty well with the Marvel movies, which are now obviously like this massive thing.
I think it would be really cool if they somehow lined everything up, because I know like Destiny, that they were really well known for having like huge raid events that were kind of timed, and it would be really interesting to me if they lined up this game and events in the game with like the movie releases and stuff. So like, I don't know, the game won't be coming out in time for Spider-Man obviously, but like for the next movie, say they could have some kind of like themed event around the villains, or somehow you team up with the major superhero from the next movie. I think that would be really fun.
So if you had to create your own custom Avenger based on the current existing Avengers, who would you base it off of?
Oh, Iron Man. Easy. I mean, for me, it's always going to be Iron Man. So I'm not an interesting person to ask that question to.
I feel like I'm not really sure. I've had a lot of fun with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's probably my favorite Marvel character, so maybe I would make like a female Spider character. I don't know.
I too would do Iron Man, but if we're going to be in a team, Illeagle, one of us is going to have to switch.
Well, I hope you don't mean me.
It's going to be one of us.
We'll flip a coin. I'm like... I'm interested to see where this goes because I don't know how closely this is going to be tied to like Disney and the MCU, and I also like Marvel in video games is riding a pretty major high right now with Spider-Man. It's going to be hard for them to top Spider-Man. That's kind of the realist in me talking.
I think for the fan in me to really be okay with this game, I'm kind of coming at it from the perspective like Spider-Man almost never happened, because Spider-Man was so good that I don't want to hold a game that's not even like in the same genre to the standard of fun that I had with Spider-Man, especially knowing that it's a multiplayer game. It's just a very different environment. So I feel like I don't want to put it even in the same realm as Spider-Man, because I'll for sure be disappointed.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that perspective because they're way too different. It's a whole different perspective. I agree with you.
And like Spider-Man was just so much fun that I don't think there's any game that really came after Spider-Man except for Kingdom Hearts 3 that really scratched the itch that Spider-Man left.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Also, another good point you made is that obviously these won't be around for Spider-Man, but after Spider-Man is the last movie in Phase 3 of the MCU, I think. And I think then Phase 4 starts. I might be one phase off. It might be like the end of Phase 4, then Phase 5 starts. I don't know what phase we're on, but I know that Spider-Man ends a phase. So perhaps the game is being timed with that in mind. I don't know if the game even has a release date yet. It might be much farther off than we think. But something to keep an eye on, I guess, and definitely something to watch out for at E3 next week. So
I feel like there's going to be so many exciting reveals at E3 next week. I don't want to really get into it because I know we're going to spend a whole hour talking about it next week. But if there was one game that you are most excited to see more details on at E3 this year, what would it be?
Metroid
it could be
4.
Something that's even totally unrealistic.
Metroid 4. But also, I mean, Avengers is up there just because I also read, and I can't remember the guy's name now, but one of the people who's involved with the Avengers story and kind of the development was one of the higher ups in Dead Space, which Dead Space was one of my favorite franchises. R.I.P. Dead Space. Mm-hmm. Still hoping for a remaster, never going to happen. So Avengers is up there, but I would still say I've been hearing some rumbles about Metroid 4, and that's definitely something I'm most looking forward to. Also, though, the Harry Potter game. Do you remember this Harry Potter game?
I do remember.
I think we talked about it on the podcast.
We did. It was like something was leaked about it, and they made it sound like it was going to be kind of like almost Skyrim-esque or Destiny-esque. It was like a weird conglomeration, I think, of like an open world Harry Potter game, but you basically got to choose your whole adventure path, and there were so many like open world scenarios to play with.
You got to choose everything. What if the Sorting Hat chooses otherwise?
Well, I guess I have to wait and see if they mention the game. I expect the game to come up. I mean, we saw that leak. It promised a lot, and then that went completely dark. So, I don't know. It might be something we see about. What about you guys?
Me personally, what I want to see at E3 is not so much games, but I want to see more expansive hardware as far as VR goes. And I know what you're thinking. What are you talking about, Techtic? Well, let me tell you. I really like the way that PSVR is going, but I've always wanted, you always see these things with people making these cool setups with these omnidirectional pads that they can run on. I want that so bad. For years I've wanted that. If the world can give me that, I will be happy.
That's a tall order, but I am inclined to agree with you, just from the geeking out perspective. Nerdbomber?
So I'm really excited to see if there's any more information about Borderlands 3. I'm very excited about that game. Probably one of my favorite split-screen co-op games of all time. And besides that, probably I'm really pumped to see the new Gears game. Gears is one of those games that, again, I really enjoy the split screen experience, and it's one of the few franchises that still guarantee split screen. And it's one of those games that Techtic and I kind of played through a few years ago from start to finish, and I'm super engaged in the storyline and just want to see where it's going.
Good old Dominic.
Well, there you have it, folks. Tune in next week for, I would call it wall-to-wall E3 coverage. I think we're probably planning on just allocating our entire Round Table Roundup to kind of just what each of us was excited about at E3. We'll probably talk about a few things each and just really crack down on that. For now, though, let's talk about us. Everyone likes to talk about themselves, what they've been up to, and we're going to talk about what we've been up to. I think I'm going to start this time. I don't usually start, but I'm feeling frisky and I'm feeling lively, and I want to talk about an interesting experience I had this weekend. Have you guys ever been to a murder mystery party?
No, I have not.
I have not either.
They're pretty interesting. So I had been to, I think, 2 before this weekend, and this weekend I actually hosted one. Hosted not in this, like, it wasn't at my house, but like every murder mystery party needs to have kind of this overseer, dungeon mastery kind of role, where they know who the killer is, they know who the victim is, they know all the information about all the characters, and then they're kind of just watching people mingle and making sure everything goes according to plan.
So you're basically either the Agatha Christie or the Clue envelope in the scenario.
I'm actually Tim Curry from the movie. You ever see that old movie Clue?
Oh yeah.
Where Tim Curry is the butler. I'm Tim Curry always. So I actually it was actually really fun because we all dressed up and like everyone took their roles very seriously. As my overseer role, I was the bartender. So I kind of got to be that guy standing behind the bar. People would go up to you and ask questions, which was kind of fun.
Did you get to make drinks?
I did. That part didn't go amazingly because I'm not really a mixologist. We basically I made a big giant jar of Cosmo and another big giant jar of mint julep.
Did you always have a towel over your shoulder, and were you always polishing the bar?
Thank you so much for asking that. That was a huge, when I was putting my costume together, I had just a nice shirt, nice pants, and a bow tie. I looked like the bartender at a country club, to give you an idea. And I had a towel over my shoulder, and people were like, "What's up with the towel?" And I was like, "What do you mean what's up with the towel? That's a huge part of being a bartender is always having a towel over your shoulder and just arbitrarily rubbing things with it."
Were you?
All the time.
Nice.
That was the main thing I was doing. I also had a flask, which I don't get to use a flask very much, but I would take out a flask and act like I was skimming off the top of the whiskey stash kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. We had 12 people, and 4 people correctly identified the murderer at the end of the night. So I think that's a pretty good sweet spot. I didn't want too many people to get it because then it would have been too easy. I didn't want too many people to not get it because then it would have been too hard.
So how did you come up with this whole mystery? Did you find something online and then tweak it to the people who are going to be there? Did you write it all yourself? How did you come up with it?
Oh my gosh. That would be a huge undertaking. There's so many moving pieces. So there were 12 people at my party.
Was one of them the murderer?
Yes. And one was the victim as well.
Did the murderer know they were the murderer?
You don't know that you're the murderer or the victim until the actual murder takes place. So for the first half of the party, everyone's kind of just kibitzing, and everyone has their own side goals and their own secrets that they're hiding from people, and there's a lot of intrigue going on. And then the murder happens, and obviously the way this thing is structured, every character has to an extent has some kind of motive for they could have been the one to do it, and then you have to dig deeper, and there was actual physical evidence, exhibits kind of thing, and it was this whole thing. I purchased a kit online, and there was a certain number of characters, and it gives you character descriptions, and for this character you should pick someone who's especially outgoing, and for this character you should pick someone who's good at backstabbing and stuff like that. So I had kind of a guide of who to give what character, But
how did your person who you gave the good at backstabbing feel about being denoted as the person who's good at backstabbing?
Well, I mean, they don't know that description was for me to choose. I didn't give them their character and say, I chose you for this because you're good at backstabbing. Like, that would not have been the best idea. But I did tell the murderer, I was like, I chose you because I thought you were capable of keeping this secret. And she was like, thank you. So, like, I don't know. Everyone had a lot of fun. There was no bad blood whatsoever. It was just a really good time. I'd recommend it to anyone who's looking to, I don't know, spice up a weekend, I guess. I did it as, like, it was a bachelor party. It was actually a joint bachelor party for two of my friends who are getting married to each other. So it was just, like, a whole bunch of folks, and it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, murder mysteries. Other than that, I've been playing BioShock, and it's still amazing, but not really much more of an update there. Oh, I did find a bug in BioShock.
Really?
Yeah, but it's a known bug. Essentially, and actually, Techtic, this might have happened to you. You played it, right? Did you both play it?
Yeah, but I didn't finish it. I just decided to YouTube the rest of the story.
I started it, and then much like Dead Space, I got kind of scared, so I stopped.
Oh, it's spooky. I'm not super far into it, so Techtic, I imagine you would have had a chance to hit it. But essentially, in each level, there's a certain number of big daddies protecting the little sisters. Mm-hmm. I found an extra big daddy and an extra little sister. And, like, when you pause BioShock, it has these little icons in the bottom that show the little sisters, and, like, here's how many you have captured, and here's how many are still out there. And, like, when I captured the extra one, an extra one popped up in the start menu, and I got really confused. And then, as I get to the end of that level, if you get to the end of a level in BioShock and you haven't gotten all the little sisters yet, it'll give you a warning, like, you're about to proceed beyond the point where you can find a little sister and harvest Adam, so, like, you might want to go back and do that, otherwise the game will be harder for you. So after finding 4 out of 3 big sisters, I get to the end of the level and it says, you didn't find all the big sisters yet. Or little sisters. So I was like, what the heck? But then I looked it up online and it's a known bug. It's called the little sister bug. Like, it's just like a bug in the game. So that was interesting. BioShock, super fun. Not really that buggy, just that one bug that I found. So check it out if you haven't yet, like me. Let's swing it over to Mr. Techtic.
I, too, had a pretty interesting weekend. We went to a place that lets you meet and greet sloths, which was really exciting because if you know what a sloth is, they're the most relatable animal in the world. They love to sleep, they love to eat, and they poop about once a week. So very relatable for those of you who like to eat, sleep, and have bowel issues.
How often do you poop a week? Can I ask you this on the air? Is that okay?
I actually poop every day, once a day. So I'm not relatable to that, but it's exciting for people who do have that issue.
I was just checking because I poop once a day, like, very regular. We should have a poop episode. But anyways, sorry, let's move on.
So then I decided that I would like to play split screen with Nerdbomber for the end of time, and I said, hey, let's keep this thing going, and I proposed to Nerdbomber. So
is that what you really said?
Yeah. And the sloth was there, the witness. Now, the exciting part about the story, folks, is I did not know how the heck I was going to organically pop the question. So, Nerdbomber was feeding one of the sloths. His name was Monroe. And my man Monroe saw me sweating. And he looks at me, I look at him, and he goes, don't worry, Techtic, I got you, fam. That's what he said, his words exactly. And he drops the piece of zucchini right at Nerdbomber's feet, which gives me an opportunity to get down, pick it up, and bam, right in position. So, had it not been for my man Monroe, who knows where I'd be right now.
Shout out to Monroe.
Monroe.
That's an amazing story. I did have one question. So first of all, congratulations on behalf of all of the Online Warriors production crew, which is really just the 3 of us, and all the listeners. But I did have one question, which is, and I've wondered this about almost every engagement photo I've seen. How do you get the photo? Who's just standing there waiting? Did you give your phone to some guy, and then Nerdbomber's like, why do you give your phone to that guy? And you're like, no reason.
So for for the sloth meet and greet, obviously that you want them to take pictures of you meeting sloths. So it was.
I did not know that was obvious. But
It was very easy to tell the zookeeper, "Hey, can you take my phone? We'd like to take pictures together, interacting with the sloths."
I see. So this was a premeditated. It wasn't like you were in the sloth enclosure and you were like, "My God, I love this woman." Like it wasn't like I'm sure you did think that, but like it wasn't like a spur of the moment like this just feels right because we're with the sloth kind of thing.
So I was the only one that knew it was going down. Not even the zookeepers knew it was going down.
Oh wow.
Monroe obviously knew it was going down. That's why he dropped the zucchini.
Way to go, Monroe.
Way to go, Monroe.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations, first of all, on meeting and just generally interacting with sloths. That's kind of a big deal.
Thank you.
Second of all, congrats on the whole matrimonial thing.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so it was a pretty exciting weekend.
Yeah. Anything to add to that?
You didn't really get into the sloth encounter, so I kind of felt like a jerk because after like we said yes and hugged it out. I was like, okay, kind of back to the sloth. Like I didn't want to dilly dally because we only had like half an hour with them.
Well, they were getting upset that the food wasn't continuously coming. They were going full on sprawled out.
So what?
Okay, hold on. You didn't wait till the end?
No, this was like right off. My legs were shaking vigorously. I needed to get this over with.
So you cut into... Okay, I'm kind of on Nerdbomber's side on this. You cut into the sloth time.
Well, Monroe said, "Do it now. Now's your chance."
Okay, so you're blaming Monroe. Got it.
So like after it was pretty much like the whole process was complete, we like went back to the sloths because they were actually like, imagine a sloth trying to swipe you, but then like slow it down even slower than you probably thought they were trying to swipe you. And that's how they were like kind of reaching out. They're like, "Hey, where did you go with my food? Why aren't you feeding me anymore?" They're super cool animals. They have abs of steel. Like they sleep curled up in the tree, and then you like poke them and they wake up and they give you like this dirty look like, "Why are you waking me up?" But then they slowly uncurl and it's all just abs. And so like you poke their abs and it's just like hard as a rock.
Yeah, because they're hanging upside down.
And they're just super cute. Their noses kind of feel like a dog's nose. They each have their own individual personalities and they like eating different types of food. So like one preferred sweet potato, the other preferred pear because she was a little bit younger and didn't have the teeth to really work through a sweet potato yet. The other one, Monroe, he liked squash, yellow squash. And like they would eat the other stuff, but you can tell they like super loved their favorite food. Yeah.
This is a nice extension. This is a nice extension of our... Remember we had a Sloth Facts game like 3 weeks ago or something?
I prepared the Sloth Fact trivia in preparation for meeting the sloths because I wanted to know everything there was to know about these mystical creatures.
And then like did you like talk to the sloths and were like, "Hey, I learned this thing about you." Like tell them the thing. So the
zookeeper was giving us sloth facts while we were there because like that's kind of what you paid, I guess, to encounter a sloth.
And you were like, "We got it, buddy. We know."
Yeah, he was like telling us how slow their digestive system is, and I was like, "Yeah, I know. It'll take him a month to digest this piece of pear. I got this."
Wow, so you impressed the crap out of the zookeepers is what it sounds like.
Well, no, she was being polite. She acted like she did like, "Oh my goodness, what good facts."
But then like I looked into the sloth's eyes and I was like, "It's okay. I know you. I understand you at a base level."
I will say there's at least one photo that I saw on Facebook because these photos made it onto Facebook. And there's at least one photo that like Nerdbomber, I'm looking it up now. You're looking into the eyes of a sloth, and I'll tell you right now, you probably never looked at Techtic that way. I mean, there's so much love and just like adoration and like, oh man, there's so much. We bonded.
Is that the sloth vision photo, where it's from the sloth perspective?
Yeah, the sloth vision photo is exactly the one I'm talking about. Where like, Nerdbomber is just like, I think enraptured would be a good word.
I took that photo, by the way.
You were you were like inside the sloth basically. It's like sloth vision. It's a very good photo.
So, like, I don't know when my love of sloths really started. I feel like it wasn't my entire life because I didn't realize I liked them until I got a little bit older. But I think it was maybe like 5-ish years ago when I first discovered baby sloth videos. And one of my friends, our mutual author friend actually, she was telling me how she thought sloths were super ugly. And I was like, I don't know, let me look them up. And I came across baby sloths, and ever since then I was like, oh my God, I'm forever bonded with sloths. Like, I'm lazy, they're lazy, they like to sleep, I like to sleep, they like to eat, I like to eat. This is perfect.
So you pretty much vehemently disagreed then with our mutual author friend.
Pretty much, yeah.
We went back and were like, what the crap.
Pretty much like once every couple months I'll send her a sloth photo hoping to change her mind, like the cutest sloth that I'll find, and she just is revolted by it, and we agree to disagree on that one.
She sticks to her gun. Shout out to our mutual author friend who I won't say by name because that's invasion of privacy. Cool. Well, congratulations on the sloths and on the engagement. Maybe we'll do like a live like episode at the altar kind of deal, you know? Like I'm just like there with a microphone and I'm the only one talking, just like live tweeting it.
That could be fun.
Illeagle with you live.
Yeah, we'll talk about the options to that end. But first, let's talk about the ending of season 2 of Fantasy Movie League.
Yep.
It's over, folks. It's over. Probably to the surprise of no one at this point. Nerdbomber took home the gold on this one. Neither Techtic nor I were able to catch her.
Even after I totally muffed it up. So, like, I was getting prepared for the slots, and normally I set my lineup on Friday mornings, and that was actually when we were leaving to travel. So I totally forgot, and it backfilled some movies for my Cineplex, and I think I only got, 16 million, and I still came in first.
On the season, you finished with almost exactly $1 billion. So pretty good, first of all.
I clearly should be in like the movie industry, like have a theater, make a ton of cash.
That is indeed the takeaway right now. Techtic finished in second. He managed to. I wasn't able to catch him, even though
forever second place.
In the last week, I came in first place. I won the week, but I wasn't enough of a margin to catch Techtic, who finished with just about 993 million. I was in third with 985. Then, comparing the overall rankings for the others doesn't make a whole lot of sense because they entered late. But out of the 10 weeks, Devin Reed 08 did have 2 wins on the year, or on the season, I should say. I had 4 wins on the season, and Nerdbomber also had 4 wins on the season. Techtic had no wins on the season and still managed to pull out a second place. So
forever second place.
I feel like that deserves some recognition. But really, the main point we want to make here is that, guys, season 3 starts this weekend. We're not waiting. We're jumping right in. There's a 10-week period from June 7th to August 11th, and we're gonna dive right in here. Right now, we have 6 people. Myself, Nerdbomber, Techtic, Devin Reed, our friends over from Dem Fancy Dinosaurs, and Mike Hoff. I again don't really know who this person is, but he's raring to go, so we appreciate that. If you want to get in on this, now is the best time, because this way, get in on the ground floor, remain competitive throughout the entire season if you want. Probably beat me, because at this point it doesn't seem that hard. So the league name is Online Warriors Podcast, and the password, I believe, is podcast all lowercase. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
So check it out. Obviously, with the summer movie season, there's going to be some big totals at the end of this 10-week period, so you're going to want to be a part of it, if only so that when you hear us talk about it, you won't be like, oh gosh, they're talking about this thing I have no idea about again. Techtic, you got a game for us today?
I do, and the theme is ice cream flavors as selected by our viewers.
Oh, yeah. Snap.
Yeah, so if you're a Patreon subscriber, I think this applies only to the Squire and Knight tiers. Again, you get to help us decide what our game show topic is going to be, or occasionally we'll throw news topics, but you can influence what you want to hear on the podcast. It's pretty cool.
So we're going to get right into it, and I'm going to start with the first question. And this one is going to be the style of gameplay where you get points based on how close you are to the number one option, and 10 being the worst score. Anything higher than 10 will give you an 11.
Okay, sounds good.
So the
I just want to say before we start that I plan on winning, but go ahead.
So the first question is, what are the top 10 ice cream flavors in America?
Okay, Nerdbomber, you want to go first?
Okay, I'm going to go with straight up chocolate.
Chocolate is ranked at number 2.
Okay, well, the number one's got to be vanilla, so I'll take that.
Vanilla is, in fact, number 1.
That's so plain, people. What are you eating?
I totally agree with that ranking. I want to say that. All right, Nerdbomber.
Okay, so my next one. Oh, okay. How about Moose Tracks? I feel like that's pretty popular.
Moose Tracks is way down at number 9.
At least it's in the top 10. I'll take it.
I'm going to say what I think the natural third choice is, which is strawberry.
Strawberry is way down at number 8.
What the heck?
One more guess for both of you, and then we're going to move on to the next set of questions.
So I think, and I don't know if this is considered a flavor, so I'm kind of gambling here, but Twist. Chocolate vanilla Twist. That's a flavor.
It is a flavor, but I don't know if we're talking about soft serve or hard ice cream here. If we're talking about hard ice cream, you're screwed.
I'm going to put it on hold until I hear Illeagle's answer.
Interesting choice. I'm going to go with mint chocolate chip.
Mint chocolate chip is number 4. For Twist, I'm just going to give that to you as the Napoleon, which is number 10. But you got blown out of the water by Illeagle, so he gets the first round.
I can't believe I forgot mint chocolate chip. That's your favorite flavor.
Number 3 was cookies and cream. Number 5 was chocolate chip cookie dough.
So we're in hard ice cream. I kept thinking soft serve.
100%.
Number 6 was buttered pecan. Number 7, cookie dough. I should have specified. I apologize. But on to the next one.
There was chocolate chip cookie dough and then also just cookie dough?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, I'll take the win. Let's keep going.
Okay, so this one is just going to have one answer is all you get.
Love it.
So, top 5 toppings.
Oh, my goodness.
Who goes first on this one?
I'll leave it up to you guys. Who do you want to go first?
You went first on the last one, so I feel like I should go first.
Yeah,
yes?
You got it.
No?
Yep.
I'm gonna. Do you differentiate between chocolate sauce and hot fudge in this game? Can you tell me that or no?
I can't tell you that, but I mean, I guess you could. I don't need to differentiate.
I'm gonna go with chocolate sauce.
Okay, hot fudge is number 1.
Okay. Okay, then I'm gonna go with sprinkles.
Sprinkles was number 2.
Boy, it was a dead heat.
So again, Illeagle takes it home. If you want, do you want to guess one more time, both of you? Kind of give Nerdbomber a bit of a chance.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna go with whipped cream.
Whipped cream is number 7.
Oh, okay. The door's open.
Okay. Oh man, there's so many different options here. I am going to go with a cherry on top. Probably terrible.
Yeah, it's not on the list.
Oh, come on.
Oh, no.
You could have picked caramel, Oreos, peanut butter cups, cookie dough, and hard chocolate coating.
But like they say, put a cherry on top my sundae.
You were just finishing off the sundae that we had created. And it was
okay, so that's 2 for Illeagle, none for Nerdbomber.
Yikes.
So this next one is going to be a Price is Right style game. Dippin' Dots. What is the temperature that they are kept at? And this is going to be in Fahrenheit.
Oh, no.
Okay. Nerdbomber, do you want me to go first again to give you like a partial advantage?
No. Fair is fair. I'll go first.
Okay. I respect the game.
Negative 300 degrees.
Fahrenheit? Okay, wait. I'm not sure. I understand the question.
I don't know. I know it's really cold. I know you need like liquid nitrogen to make Dippin' Dots.
I'm gonna go. What is it? What the temperature it's kept at? I'm gonna go with minus 50.
So you both busted.
I understand the question.
You both busted. So no one gets it. The answer was minus 40. And by the way, cryogenic freezing is minus 320.
I think that
I was so close.
That might be what I was thinking of.
Get your cryogenically frozen ice cream.
So
at
still
the nearest Six Flags.
2 for Illeagle and none for Nerdbomber. Moving on to the next one.
Pretty good.
In the history of ice cream.
Oh gosh.
When is the earliest evidence of ice cream?
Oh, it's like I actually kind of know this one. Well, I know the origin story, but I don't know how long ago it was. I'll tell you one thing. We're talking BC. This is like, I'm gonna say 400 BC.
Okay, and that is a bust. So
wait, I didn't guess yet.
Well, you know that I busted, so.
Well, at least I think it's a bust. Does it go backwards? I don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
The higher the number, the further back in time you get. So I probably busted.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say if that's a bust, I'm gonna go with 150 BC. I'm gonna ride your BC train.
Okay, so pretty much as long as she stayed lower, she was safe, and she got it. The answer is, in China, it was invented around 200 BC when a milk and rice mixture was frozen by packing it into snow.
Man, I was so close. This is garbage, but I respect the game. All right.
Okay, so that's 1 for Nerdbomber and 2 for Illeagle. So this next one is a Guinness World Record. And the unit is in length. So what is the longest ice cream ever made?
Can you tell me what you said? The unit is length, but that's not a unit.
Yeah, like what does that mean?
The unit. Well, I didn't want you to think like the largest, like a diameter type thing. It's going to be a narrow, continuous length.
So like the tallest ice cream cone?
No, a banana split.
Like a banana split that just keeps going.
Yeah.
Oh.
For many feet.
Okay, so it's feet.
All right.
Nerdbomber, you go first this time, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to say, so you can get like those giant subs that are like 20-foot long subs. So I'm going to say a 20-foot long ice cream.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm just going to say 30 because I know it's way more.
So Illeagle takes this one home.
I am so bad at this.
Based on the Price is Right style
rules. It's like
rules,
400 or something.
It is 4,549 feet and 3.36 inches.
Isn't that close to a mile? That's like just under a mile.
5,280 is 1 mile.
Yeah, but like why do you need a mile-long ice cream sundae? Why is that a thing?
The
you ever get like...
of world records.
Do you ever get like really hungry? And like just
not that hungry.
Do you and like 100 of your friends ever get really hungry? Actually, you need like 1,000 friends.
You would need a lot of people.
You need like your entire high school class. Anyways.
So, the world-renowned ice cream champion is Illeagle. Taking home 3 W's to 1.
It feels good. I kind of had a feeling that I was the ice cream... What do you say? I was the ice cream champion of the something?
Of the world.
Okay, that sounds about right. I do enjoy ice cream. For the record, my favorite flavor is actually the chocolate vanilla twist that Nerdbomber mentioned. I'm a soft serve man myself. Also
soft serve is so much better.
Yeah, hard ice cream just hurts your teeth.
I love hard ice cream. Like me a good mint chocolate chip. Mm-hmm.
This concludes our episode. So go and grab yourself a nice frosty cone of whatever your favorite flavor is, and thank you all for listening. Rate and review us on the soon-to-be-defunct iTunes. or the podcast app, I guess, is probably where you'd want to go. Check out the Patreon that we've mentioned a few times. You won't be sorry if you support us. We got a lot of great content coming for our Patreon supporters, and just thanks for being you. Have a great week.
See ya.
See you next week.